Thing I'd like to do is congratulate our new preceptees who received the precepts this morning at the very first ceremony conducted in our new sanctuary. It was really quite a moment for all of us, and the work of many people to coordinate the complication of putting it all on Zoom, working with the sound, the great resonance in the sanctuary with a very hard floor. And so we're considering how to soften that a bit, which will probably involve a large rug. But it was great. It was great to be there practicing on site, and also to know that there were so many people on Zoom joining us. We could really feel the support of the Sangha. So this morning, Intaba and Grady took refuge and received Dharma names. Intaba will be known in the Sangha now as Hokyo, and Grady as Hongaku. Justin and Thea received the first 5 precepts. And this is a culmination of the precept study that's been going on in the Sangha since August. Many of you have been part of that. So tonight, I'd like to say just a few more things about precepts. There's really no end to precepts. We divide them into the 10 grave precepts, the 3 pure precepts, the refuge precepts. However, they're all one precept. They're all different aspects of awakened mind. And they are practical. You know, we feel if we tell a lie, it's pretty hard to feel at ease. It's really hard to quiet the mind, to meditate, if you're really out of sync with the way things actually are, or if you've stolen something, or if you've put somebody down or been involved in vicious gossip. It all tends to undermine the ability to be settled. It's all very unsettling. So the precepts are just specific fingers pointing all of us in the direction of all the ways that we unsettle ourselves. And conversely, all the ways that we can reform these behaviors, if I can use that word. So the precepts work together to guide and describe a way of practice that encourages us, reminds us to be awake and responsible and joyful in our lives. It's not possible to be whole and healthy if we can't be transparent. Transparency is something that we really work on, and it's so interesting to come across things that you really don't want to share, and look into what is it about that keeps them from being just human, just being a human being. So transparency is really confronting our secrets and all of the discomfort and the pain that goes into having a secret, keeping a secret. So a commitment to telling the truth, to living the truth, and treating everyone in a way that leaves us at ease with our own behavior is the way of the Bodhisattva. Recognizing the one whole life that we share, being freed from the cocoon of self-absorption. That's what Joko Beck calls the self, the cocoon of self-absorption. Good phrase, I think. I like it. And this is the way that we come to ease and joy, to really finding our way to unwrap that cocoon, which actually is the raw ingredient for silk. And we could say the same of ourselves, that we really, the more we unwind that cocoon and emerge, the more true we can be in our full form. And the value that all the things, all the harm that we've experienced and that we have activated in the world is all part of our education. We learn from all of it. We transform the mind of blame and shame into a mind of open awareness. But it's not so simple, because you and I are affected by everything that goes on around us. And whatever is going on around us also contributes to a sense of ease or dis-ease. So we take on the precepts personally. We're taking on responsibility for our own life energy. There's a lot right now that's contributing to the worldwide dis-ease beyond what we are contributing, but we're wrapped up in it. So we are one, and we are also multitudes. The precepts are guides. They're inner guides. They're inner guides. They don't change samsara or the complexity of a long history of collective greed and hostility and ignorance. Ignorance of this unity of all life. Precepts cannot compete with samsara. We could say that precepts refer us to, as Václav Havel has said, a state of the mind, not a state of the world. It's an orientation of the heart, which transcends the world that is immediately experienced and is anchored somewhere beyond its horizon. So it way broadens our horizons. The precepts help us really see way beyond our own immediate version. And they allow us the ability to work for something good in our life, a sense of beneficial purpose. That keeps us alive to the possibility of humans, of our capability to awaken fully and to live from awakened heart mind. Though all beings have this the nature to awaken, of awakening, there are a few that have the good fortune to realize this and manifest it in how we live. Though everyone has the potential to awaken, if you think of all of the causes and conditions that have come forward in your own life, many of which were difficult, but some of which were quite wonderful, leaves you in a position to be able to wake up, to recognize that it is possible to live with kindness and clarity and an ethical compass, to take this on. So there are so many, the complexity of the web of karma is so vast. So, we've all of us individually have experienced, some more than others, deprivation or plenty, nurture or abandonment, abuse or nourishment. I could go on and on with the temper of our conditions as we've gone along in our lives. Some who've been so blessed never wake up. That's the Diva realm. Problem with the Diva realm is the conditions are so lovely that there's no motivation to look more deeply into the nature of our lives. And some people are so harmed and so deprived that there's no way that they can ever hear the Dharma, even if the Dharma circulates in their environment. But we've had just enough of a mix. And many people who come to Zen practice have had a lot of trouble in their lives. But there is some kind of blessing that allows us to arrive at this practice. So this is our responsibility to use this opportunity, and it's our blessing to have this opportunity to use, to sustain and act from the deepest qualities within us. It's rather like keeping the sacred flame lit, not letting it go out. That's our responsibility. Somebody asked, what's her name? Now I'm forgetting her name. Joanna Macy. They said, do you have any hope given the state of the world? And she said, well, yes, I do. Because I know so many who are so aware and awake and responsive. But if I were to also be honest, I would say there's really little hope that we're going to survive. But what's most important is that each of us take on our life to the best of our ability to be whole and complete and mature human beings. That there's a whole variety of ways of being human in this world. And we can at least, no matter how difficult the circumstances, maintain our humanity and work to extend it, even to those who really are out of touch with their own. However we can figure. And sometimes that's just by being silent and bearing witness. I think of the movement, the Women in Black in Argentina, during a very bloody and nasty period of their history. They would gather dressed in black on street corners in various places, and they would stand in silence. And it reminded everybody of this, the possibility of being whole and the dignity of being a mature and loving human being, no matter what. The 10th precept, not speaking ill of the three treasures, but cherish and uphold them, really states this commitment fully. Dogen Zenji admonishes us in his commentary on this precept to do something by ourselves without copying others. I was so struck when I came across that phrase. When I first read it, I was really puzzled because first of all, it was so direct and ordinary, and it didn't seem so deep to do something by ourselves without copying others. And I thought, well, does this mean to go my own way? Well, when everything in Zen is telling us how to do stuff, here's we are admonished to go our own way. Well, yes, if we think about the intention to refrain from doing harm, which is the first of the pure precepts, if someone else is doing something that's harmful, it is important that we be able to go our own way and stand up for what's right. Stand up for what is beneficial. As Mother Teresa has said, not draw the circle of our family too small, but let it be wide open. I said that, she didn't say that. So at a demonstration, for instance, not to return hate for hate or violence. Perhaps instead you let yourself on the spot feel your grief and maintain the same kind of independence of dignity that Gandhi did, or Martin Luther King, or Harriet Tubman, or Dietrich Bonhoeffer, or Desmond Tutu, or Rosa Parks. These are all names we know, and then there are thousands of those who we've never heard of, who follow this way, who didn't copy others, but followed the course of dignity and truth. Because it was based in a complete view of our situation. Maintaining a complete and wide view of the situation is very helpful in maintaining this 10th precept. Maintaining the long view and wide perspective, sowing seeds of peace rather than further discord. I think of all the people who are drawn into discord innocently in a way, because they don't know anything else but their own fear and reactivity and the example of others. So sowing seeds of peace rather than discord is holding a long view. And when I was putting this together, I remembered years ago, I was part of the group that put together a course for the courts that is now mandated for divorcing couples with children. And how this precept was absolutely the ground that we taught, knowing how harmful high conflict is for children's development. But in the midst of a divorce, you can be very, very upset and not so in touch with your more resourced self, but ruled by fear and anger. So it takes a lot of discipline to serve the larger good, rather than going with the reactivity of the moment of greatest heat and self-righteousness. And I know we've all been working with these mind states in the current world situation and national situation. So this precept embraces the entirety of the precepts. We can intend to keep it every time we open our mouths, every time we become aware of our thoughts and our reactions and our impulses. Dogen sums this precept up when he says, respect the Buddha, unfold the Dharma, and nourish the Sangha. It's that simple. Respect the Buddha, that means you. Self-respect. And respecting the potential in everyone. Remembering everyone has the potential. No matter what happened, you can learn from it and resolve to handle similar moments with more care and patience next time. And one of the examples that came up during our conversation online on Tuesday was speaking harshly to your spouse, your partner, and letting impatience rule. How many of you have ever had that experience with a partner or a friend or a sibling or a child or a parent or a boss or a coworker or a neighbor or a city office, etc. We do the best we can. And whatever we don't do so well is a cue to pay closer attention next time with no blame, but real great determination to keep going, keep working on this. We know the direction we want to go. And the other thing is coming to make a repair when something has been done poorly or not as well as you'd like. A good apology offered at the right time with good eye contact and wholehearted intention can repair a lot and help you both start over. And I know one of the things when my kids were little, the most wonderful thing to be able to do after a tantrum, and one of my kids was just a major tantrumer, was to be able to hug after she was all settled down, give a hug and say, let's start over. And the gladness that you can feel like, oh, okay, I can start over. We can all start over when we really mess up. Respect the Buddha, meaning we all have the capacity to grow in kindness and wisdom, and to be able to see more clearly our interbeing with every other life. We are one, but we are also individuals and cannot know somebody else's story. So part of respecting the Buddha is recognizing that everyone has their own mind stream that's influenced by a complex stream of narratives and experiences. We can't know. Sometimes even ourselves. You may have come across something that you just didn't realize about yourself. So respect the Buddha takes discipline, practice, learning, and looking ever more deeply into the meaning of the direction in your own life. Unfold the Dharma. How do we do this? Well, we study the teachings and look into what they mean in our own experience. I would invite you now, any of you, if you would like to raise your hand, if you have an idea about anything you'd like to say about unfolding the Dharma. Because I see a whole bunch of really mature practitioners here with a lot of wisdom. If I was in a bind, in a spot, I would consult any of you for sage advice. So unfold the Dharma. What comes to mind when we approach that? Dharma is, capital D Dharma are the formal teachings, the history of teachings, 2,500 years of wisdom teachings. And small d Dharma are all phenomena.
Looks like Mushin is frozen, and she'll be back. I'm not sure where we should go with this because I'm sure she would like to hear. Are you there?
She's back.
Oh,
Yay.
oh, was I gone?
Yeah.
Frozen.
Oh, I didn't know I was gone. I thought I was right here.
Well, you had a brief seizure.
I wish I could have some control over this. It would be really quite a tool in Dharma. Unfortunately, it's Zoom that does it. Anyway, I don't know what you heard, but I'm inviting anybody to offer any insight or thought you have about unfold the Dharma. Yes, Senmyo.
This is just what occurred to me when you asked. just embodying it as best we can. And I think of specific instances like, the day-to-day on Facebook, for instance, where there's a lot of contentious discussion as we lead up to the election, and embodying the Dharma by maybe right speech, carefully speaking and being kind and trying to have patience and, just that.
Yeah, thank you. Anyone else? Yeah.
A habit I've had for a long time is to keep a copy of the Dhammapada with me and to pull it out and read it, and to try to start the day by reading some of it. And one of the effects of that has been that it reminds me that, we live in a dream world a lot of the time, and helps to keep me a little more alert to the way I might be dreaming or confused.
Thank you. And one more, anybody? Deborah.
I love that word, unfolding. It's like you unfold a map and there's this path just laid out before you. And it implies, that word, that you don't thrust the Dharma on anyone. You lay it out as a path and welcome people to see what it's about. So it's not an intrusive process, unfolding the Dharma. And I think it comes about that it's unfolded just by living the life and walking the path ourselves. I felt very much like we were unfolding the Dharma when we were gardening in the rain together. Because we were in service to the community and connecting with each other in a really useful way. And practicing all the precepts as best we could.
Thank you. Antetsu, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, but I don't have to. If
Go ahead.
you, I did something that came to mind though. There, in one of the chants, there are the words, "A pivotal moment brings it forth," and I think it's referring to words spoken, teachings, whether written or I guess spoken. And as we've studied the precepts, and as I listen to you, I'm reminded that the teachings, the Big D Dharma, is really important in my life. This is where I'm at in my life right now, because it does connect the everyday actions, everyday life with the Buddhist teachings. And so I'm really grateful for that unfolding as I read and listen.
Yeah, thank you. So respect the Buddha, unfold the Dharma, and nourish the Sangha. Nourish the Sangha. So we can talk about the Sangha as, the traditional way is the people that we practice with. Originally, it was the ordained men and women. And now it's the Sangha of all beings. And the world is very different and seriously interconnected in that we can see and talk and touch each other around the world in a way that was never possible at the time of the Buddha. So nourish the Sangha is a big responsibility. Yes, Echo, you have to unmute yourself.
In regards to unfolding the Dharma, thank you for calling on me. I was trying to think of a quote that had to do with to keep moving forward, and I found it, and it's a translation by Katagiri Roshi of the Arhats, and it is, no matter how hard or heart-rending it is to live, do not wear a tearful face. Let's keep walking steadily and live out our lives. To me, that has a lot to do with unfolding the Dharma.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Okay, so nourishing the Sangha. So the Sangha and nourishing. How do you nourish the Sangha? What would be an example? Not a general description, but one example from your own life recently where you have nourished the Sangha. I have to say, I'll start by saying that this morning, doing the precept ceremony was so deeply nourishing to me. I get a sensation in my heart and my gut that is warm and full in a way that just fills me up and gladdens me. And there's no separation. When nourishing the Sangha, I really experience the truth of no separation. What is being offered is being received at the same time. And the very gift itself is embodied. So what is an example that you have? Because I'm sure all of you do this all the time. The Sangha of all beings. Perhaps somebody we haven't heard from yet. Yes.
I'm not sure if this is too generic of an answer, but I really think just being present enough to be aware when there's something that you could do, or to be aware when something is needed, because we can plan something to do in advance or prepare a way, but we might then miss ways that arise only in the moment.
That's great. Good reminder. Hokyo, are you waving to get attention to? You need to unmute.
I think there are the obvious ways, like if there's a call for help in the garden, or there's administrative help that needs to be done. Those are clear and obvious ways of being of service.
And they're what you do?
Me?
What's a personal example?
No, not me so much. No. Not sure. Yeah, since I haven't been able to cook, I've been at a little bit of a loss. I think showing up for Zazen is a gift to the Sangha, because there's an energy that comes from being in community. So each time each of us is here, I think that that's a service.
Yeah, lovely. Thank you. Matthew, how about you?
I've been thinking of this in the context of job as a teacher.
We can't hear you.
Sorry, my sound doesn't work unless I have a microphone plugged in. I've been thinking about this in the context of my work as a teacher lately, because it is a very, in many ways, diminished type of work when it comes to forming relationships, because I'm trying to do it through a screen. And so I've been trying to be very intentional about finding ways to connect with each individual student, even through Zoom. And I've also been doing some masked and socially distant home visits to deliver books. And I think my practice has helped me try very hard to be intentional about, to use the words that you used earlier, to paraphrase Mushin, to really see the Buddha nature, the Buddha potential of each of my students and each of their parents when I interact with them.
Thank you. Ellen, I think I saw your gasho.
Yeah, I was thinking similar to something Antava said, that showing up, whether it's coming here or to any of the Sangha activities. This morning in the Precepts ceremony, even though we were on Zoom, so it was sort of a distant showing up, I really felt almost tearful when you were, when people were receiving those. It just felt really momentous. And it was the first, precept ceremony I had been to, so I wasn't sure what it was going to be. But so I was glad I showed up, because that made a big difference in my feeling of connection to the Sangha.
Thank you. Okay, so that's the talk for this evening. I'll end with a little quote from Rilke, Raina Maria Rilke. The point is to live everything. To live completely. Don't hold back. Thank you.
We're now going to chant. Actually,